This is King Noble Black Supremacy. With this particular video, I want to talk about the royal bloodline consciousness of black supremacy. I did a recent video talking about being a part of a secret society and not even knowing it. So what's your initiation into that secret society? What makes you automatically a potential member or part of that secret society? And it's really your bloodline. Your blood, whether it's royal, African, sacred blood, that really is your true initiation into that secret society. Black supremacy is a royal bloodline consciousness. For a lot of people, we mention black supremacy and we're arguing with them because we've taken on the Western civilization or the European consciousness about educating people and all people being equal, even though they don't believe that shit, even though they don't practice that. And the goal of the white man is to be superior over the East, superior over the Arab, superior over Aboriginal people. The white man thinks he is superior to all other tribes, races, and ethnicities in the world. So he talks equality. And he talks about educating everybody and bringing everybody to a certain level. And capitalism makes everybody appear that they can get to the same level. If you just invest in this, and if you buy this particular product, or this particular health regimen, or these particular herbs, or if you engage in this particular activity, join this particular group, get this particular membership, study this, take a course in this, that you're going to get to a certain level as someone else. And they're lying to you because it's not in your bloodline. It might not be in your blood. This is a reality. And so many of us that consider ourselves to be conscious, we get caught up into that because we're trying to wake everybody up and get all black people to the same level so they can unify, not realizing that they're not going to even understand if it's not in their blood. If they're not of that bloodline, black supremacy isn't going to make sense to them because only a particular bloodline thought of that. The royal and noble bloodline thought along those lines, that we're supreme. This bloodline was nationalistic, that kept the nation together, that kept us having a nation. This bloodline was separatist, independent, on some sovereignty. Only a particular bloodline had the privilege or were at the level to think on these different levels. A lot of black people today who are under white supremacy, who can accept being under the devil for whatever benefits or comforts that it would afford them, though a lot of those black people would have been servants in ancient African community. They would have served the nobility. They would have served the pharaohs. They would have served the kings. They would have been servants. And their mentality reflects that of a servant. And they make excellent servants because they have served the greatest kings and rulers that have ever existed. And the white man saw that. So he brought the greatest servants in the world to America to build his country, to build his society. And out of this black servitude, he became the most powerful country and nation and the richest, one of the richest nations in the world, off of black servitude, off of the servitude of black nobility. So a lot of these coons would have been servants. They don't have the type of mind, the type of DNA or the blood to perceive black supremacy, black rulership, black domination. So you argue with them thinking that they are ignorant and they just don't get it and they're just coons and they love the white man. No. They simply were not of that tribe or of that bloodline where it's obvious that we are supposed to rule and dominate and not be subjected and be under anyone as a nation. Everybody in the nation didn't think that way. Many people in the nation was just under the royal family. They were just under the kings, under the ruling class. So they didn't have this, they didn't think too politically. They didn't think in that way. They were limited to their chores and duties and functions within the kingdom, whether it's agriculture, whatever their compartmentalized function or service, whatever their trade is. That's why a lot of people thinking that, you know, their particular trade or function or knowledge is going to save the black race, because they're limited. That's the limited spectrum of their mentality, that they cannot see beyond their trade or their craft. Only the noble family, only the noble and royal blood could perceive higher realms of information and knowledge. They were a part of the secret society because of their bloodline, and they knew the secrets because they had the type of mind, the type of brain, and the type of consciousness that could conceptualize that information. So a lot of people, a lot of black people are not at the level as far as their blood, their DNA, their capability is not at a level to conceptualize black supremacy or black divinity at the level of the royalty and the nobility. So some of us are part of that royal and noble family. A lot of people who just jumped off the boats during the transatlantic slave trade could not conceptualize slavery or being under the white man. Those were your royals. Those were your nobles. They could not conceptualize it. They couldn't stomach it. Many of the people on the boat were servants anyway. They were indentured servants. So they could conceptualize servitude because that was their lifestyle anyway. We are the greatest servants of the world to build the greatest civilizations that have ever existed. That's a fact. That's why when we read the Bible, we can accept the scriptures. A lot of these black people that can accept the scriptures about serving and being passive and being under the white man and being under the laws and being under the society, they can accept that doctrine because they were servants anyway. That's what they came out of, a servant class. The noble blood, the noble bloodline is a rare bloodline within the black race. Every black person is not of that royal tribe, are not descendants of that royal mind, while we are superior, unarguably, as a race to any other race on the planet. And in this society, a lot of our superiority has come out and in being of servant and being of service to this white man and working for him and being under him and playing his game, basketball, football, tennis, golf. We become servants in his society and are greater servants than his people has ever been or are able to be. Let's keep it real. No one has served greater in this society than the black man and woman, because we were the greatest servants in the world of the noble families, of the noble kings and queens. Everybody from Africa was not a king or queen and are not of the bloodline, ancestry, or the DNA of the ruling class. So they don't have the bloodline of black supremacy. The consciousness of black supremacy is not in their bloodline. So you're talking to somebody that don't even have the ability, don't even have the DNA, not even using that part of their brain, not even coming from that level. And you're talking to them about black rulership. You're talking to them about black divinity. You're talking to them about black supremacy. And you think it's their diet that you're going to give them the superfood that's going to wake their ass up and then they're going to think on that level. No. You can give a gorilla all the superfood you want to give him. You can give him all the herbs and elixirs that you want to give him. But at the end of the day, he's still going to be a goddamn gorilla. You can get a white man all the shit that you want to get that damn cracker devil dog. And at the end of the day, he's still going to be a cracker devil dog. I don't care what you give him. Some of them think you're going to give them the elixir, or you're going to create the perfect homeschool system, or you're going to come up with the greatest argument that's going to make the most logic, that's going to have black people see who we are as a people. But it ain't even about who we are as a people anymore. It's who we are as the ruling class, as the ruling tribe, as the ruling bloodline, the bloodline of black supremacy. And when we stop begging other people and stop trying to meld all tribes and all prototypes of black people into one supreme tribe or supreme nation, then the true noble family can get together and do their work, can get together and come back into rulership. We're too busy singing "We shall overcome" and we all need to unify, and we waiting on black people who in their bloodline is servitude anyway. But when the royal and noble family step into their kingship, then the servant will recognize who their true master is and who their true king is. Because a lot of these servants was looking for a true master and a true king. That's why they had no problem calling the white man massa and being a servant. And they argue with you all day long about how they should be under this white man, how it's so good and beneficial to be under this devil. And it's no problem being under his society and going along to get along. And being under the white man is the best thing that ever happened to them and the best thing that they could ever do. They can't conceptualize rebellion, revolution, or resistance because they're not in the blood. They're not of that bloodline that's furiated and frustrated with being out of their divine seat, out of their divine position. See, when you have that noble blood in you, of that noble bloodline, you're frustrated with being out of your position, with being off your throne. You're mad and angry every second and every moment of your life. And all you can conceptualize is rulership and getting back into position because it's your nature to do so. But when you're just of a servant bloodline, of a servant tribe, you can gel with the society. You can understand why you should only do this, that, and the other. You can play your role in helping the white man. You could join his army and work for his establishments, jobs, and institutions because your nature is a servant. And yeah, you have some compassion for black people, and you're moved by the injustices that is affecting black people. But the servant in you can't help but to go along to get along. The servant in you ain't gonna rock the boat. But the bloodline of nobility looks from a different place and a different perspective with a different level of responsibility, knowing that they are the rulers and that the destiny of the people lies in their hands and they can't sleep at night, knowing who and sensing who they are. So it's different. So the conscious community have took all black people and just threw them in one boat. The Hebrew Israelites have took all black people, just threw them in one boat. You all Hebrew Israelites, you all this, you all Moors, you all this, you all that. Throw them all together and put them in one boat. And it's just not the case, because all black people, I don't care how much education, how much information they get, how many books they read, how many lectures they go to, how many DVDs they get, how healthy their diet is, they're not going to perceive and feel and experience things the same way based upon their blood and their DNA. Some people here are descendants of royalty. Their stature is that of a noble king. Their stature of that is that of a godly tribe. Their mindset and their persona is that of the ruling class. It's in their DNA. Period. They can't go for nothing else. And that's just a fact. So we wasting time looking at all black people the same and thinking all black people are going to understand things the same. They're not. They're not feeling the same way. They don't feel the same frustration. They don't. So only the bloodline of black supremacy can be conscious of black supremacy. If you're a servant, oh, that just sounds like racism. It sounds like racism because they already got a master. It sounds like counter racism or reverse racism because they already got a master. Why would you reverse it? We already got a master. That's how a servant thinks. The servant is okay with what's going on. The servant can take subjugation, can take beatings and lashings and whippings. The servant was built for that. The royal family, the royal blood, the noble blood of black supremacy consciousness cannot take that. They're not built for that. That's why they were the noble and ruling class. So stop putting all black people in the same boat and we got to wake all these black people up, and they're not the same. They're not of the same tribe. But when the true noble ruling class comes back into power, it will positively affect the position and the condition of the entire black race. The whole black race will be affected by it. And the white man will be taken out of power. And the black man will come back into rulership. And the servant class will be serving black divinity. They will be serving the true black nobility. So they're confusing you, saying all you all were kings and queens. That's a distraction. That's to mess your head up, because a true king and queen cannot stomach or tolerate being subjected to another people. And if you can accept that every day from 9 to fucking 5 with no problem, you can accept being under him, his education, his indoctrination, his institutionalization, his religion. If you can just stomach that and live with that, you are not of the fucking noble blood. Because your blood will curl and boil and jump out your fucking body before you can live a day with accepting that. That's a fact. So they're distracting you so that you, of black people who are servants, who are supposed to be divine servants, but to the black noble tribe, to the black noble blood, you all are supposed to be servants. Now you serving the white man. Now you serving the devil's world. You serving white supremacy. And being distracted, saying we all kings and queens and we all this and we all that. No, we're not. So now versus you trying to be distracted by the fantasy of truly being of the bloodline of a king and queen, you can now redirect your service in being a servant to the true noble and black supreme bloodline that King Noble Black Supremacy represents. And truly be of service to your race. Truly be of service to black rulership and be of service to black divinity. That's what you really are supposed to be doing. Most of you that have been distracted by the idea of being a king and a queen and a goddess and waking up and being all this, and you ain't woke up and realized yourself as nothing but being a servant to white supremacy every fucking single day of your goddamn life. That's why people can look at what I'm doing. It's so fucking amazing. And whoa, as noble bloodline, I have no choice but to do what the fuck I'm doing. There's nothing else I could be doing. It's no way I could be under the subjugation of this white man. I had to find a way, another alternative to live within this society without being under the beck and call of Becky. It's not amazing for the royal bloodline. It's our only option. It's the only thing we can tolerate or accept, or the only thing we can do. And the fact that it looks so big of a leap for you to get to that point is because you are a divine servant. Your bloodline is of the divine servant to the ruling and noble bloodline. And right now, what you're doing as a divine servant, as a supreme servant, is you're serving the white man and trying to use the little money that you get from serving the white man to fund your fantasy of being something greater and funding a fantasy of an illusion. And that your illusion is being sold to you in the front of Kwanzaa and books and t-shirts within the conscious community. You're buying into your illusion. The illusion of you being something other than a servant tribe. And we're throwing off the natural social culture, the natural socialization of our people. I'm going to go in on this on another video. I just had to touch on this. This King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleuncensored.com. Subscribe to my new YouTube page, King Noble Guru. Like this video, hit thumbs up. Subscribe now. Hit the notification bell so you can get notified when my videos are come out hot off the press. And follow me on Instagram at kingnobleuncensored.c.o.m. Donate and don't hate. Black Supremacy.